On July 19th, 1979, the people of Nicaragua, led by the Sandinist National Liberation Front, won a resounding victory when almost half a century of struggle culminated in the overthrow of a repressive dictatorship of Anastasio Somoza. Sandino's Daughters is about the women of Nicaragua, the peasant, working class, professional, and bourgeois women who joined their brothers in the struggle to defeat Somoza. They tell us openly about their lives in the days of Somoza, during the revolution, and today, as they work to build a free country. They describe the brutality of the old regime and their participation in the movement, which finally defeated the tyrant. They speak very personally about their fears and losses, but mostly of their victory as women and as militants. March 7, 2015, I traveled to Nicaragua with a group of professors and classmates in collaboration with Witness for Peace to examine U.S. intervention's impact on Nicaraguan growth and economy. It was in Escambray that I found inspiration with the women of the community. I absorbed hope from Yamaleth Perez's narrative on her community coming together. In an effort to combine my speech and debate background with my own experiences in Nicaragua, I present the prose, Sandino's Daughters and Sandino's Daughters Revisited by Margaret Randall. Revolution, the year I fell in love and joined the Sandinistas by Deb Olin Unforth. The poetry, Smile by Paige Russell. The Rhizome as a Field of Broken Brooms by Margaret Randall. And a collection of interviews from our time and country recorded by Alex Cuttrell. A program as a chronological examination of the role of Nicaraguan women in the revolution. I first went to Nicaragua in October 1979. Only a few months had elapsed since the Sandinista victory in July. Invited by the new government's Ministry of Culture, I would spend 3 months listening to women who had taken part in the recent war tell stories of determination, courage, intervention, loss, and joy. I had to look somewhere, so I fixed my eyes on the mother's blue satin blouse. One side of its collar pulled to the side, bearing the starkness of breastbone and loss. Strands of damp hair repeated their fall across lips silenced by bullets made somewhere else. The small room's heat. Lungs under siege, walls were seated and then pressed against me. Slowly, with purpose, I brought my gaze to her son's face. Jaw wrapped in strips of gauze, clean red and black around his neck. Maria Lydia says, I'll tell you, my Segovia, those pine trees, those mountains were our friends, do you know? That's the way it was for us with Sandino. We simply said light and shadow, and then we said, beautiful Nicaragua, your lakes speak for you, and your children call you always. You will always, always be free, and we must keep your flag flying high. Here there were no chiefs, no generals. Here we were all Nicaraguan soldiers, together against the machos. I was a messenger. At night we would go out. It was the safest time. We rode a burro or an ox, and we lit our way with ocote torches. The mountain was tough, not like it is today. Now it's almost barren compared with what it was then. Why, at midday it seemed like 4 in the afternoon. The machos came with their proper jackets, fine navy blue cloth with that beautiful M and that beautiful P, standing for policeman. So we would respect them. We respected their guns, but not them. At last we arrived in Managua, the capital of Nicaragua. We pulled into the station. I was aggrieved, begrimed, laden. I'd had exactly no fun in months, and I was ready to blame George for it. I filed to the front of the bus and looked out over the heads of the people waiting to get on. And there, amid the chaos of the station, I spotted a North American. He had 2 cameras around his neck and stood a foot taller than the Nicaraguan people around him. I hadn't seen any other North Americans since Guatemala. He seemed so tall and white and bald and fat. I was stunned for a moment. My first internacionalista. He raised his finger and pointed at me over the crowd. "Hey you," he called. "You can't be older than 14. What are you doing here?" "I'm 18, you old dog," I yelled back, and stepped off of the bus and into the revolution. The revolution is not carried in the mouth to live it. It is in the heart to die for it. Because Nicaragua's young people have undeniably assumed the leading role in the struggle, it has more often than not been a daughter or son who gradually led a mother to realize her potential as an independent and political person. Take the case of Commander Monica Baltadano and her mother Zulema. Early in her life, Zulema was concerned with the need for social justice, but she began to participate only when faced with the choice of supporting her daughter's commitment or abandoning her. Zulema had moments in which fear was her primary concern, and she felt burdened by her daughter's activity. Then, when Monica was imprisoned, Zulema's fears that her sympathies might be found out were superseded by her concern for her daughter. I didn't care if the whole world knew I was a revolutionary. We discovered the true meaning of democracy then. Denial as code for international treaties don't mean us. Torture a necessity and execution without trial pride of the American century. I walked through battlefields of Nicaraguan dead, made the rounds to protect my neighborhood through moist nights. Watched my teenage daughters prepare for war. I photographed the broken faces of children in cheap coffins, wrote and published the news my country kept from its headlines.
Soy Rosamelia, ¿verdad?
My name is Rosamelia.
Soy una promotora más para trabajar con la organización de Oyanca. Es una organización que trabaja a favor de la violencia, es decir, en contra de la violencia hacia las mujeres, la niñez, adolescentes. En la comunidad trabajo como defensora popular. También existe una oficina central en el municipio Jalapa. Esta organización está dispuesta las 24 horas de lunes a viernes de cada semana. Se trabaja cuando una mujer es maltratada por su esposo o pareja, podemos decir, entonces, y ella acude a buscar apoyo hacia nosotros, nosotros le brindamos el apoyo. Porque aquí en Nicaragua ha habido mucho machismo de la mayoría de los varones. Es por eso de que han habido varias muertes de mujeres a causa de los problemas que han tenido con su pareja de hogar, entonces los hombres acuden mejor a matarlas. Por lo menos en la comunidad han existido varios problemas de maltrato dentro de la pareja y han buscado apoyo y han sido atendidas por mi persona y doña Nicolasa, donde tuvieron una reunión como artesana y han salido adelante. Se ha logrado mucho porque se han aplacado un poco más los problemas y no se ha deshacido el hogar. Lo que se hace es que no se le quita a una mujer a un hombre, sino que se hace tratar de mejorar para que sigan adelante, no dejar solo el hombre y tampoco sola la mujer, sino que es un apoyo para mejorar en la familia.
Behind baskets and men with machetes. My host mom feeds me too much food, makes a bed for a midday nap, and worries when I don't eat. She always has a coffee at the ready after I trudge in after a long day of learning how my country has ravaged this village. In the living room, a picture hangs of a teenage boy with a gun, protecting his home from the Contras. The gun strapped to his chest like a badge of honor. The same man offers me his chair at dinner while sharing tidbits about the coffee rust that threatens his livelihood. Yet still they smile. Smile despite the bullet holes in their bedrooms. Smile despite the gringa on the hill spraying pesticides. Smile while we follow him to a waterfall. My host dad watches while we scramble up a rock face to throw caution and our bodies into the shallow water and soft sand below. How do I tell them that I'm sorry? I'm sorry that the American dream has supplied guns to your enemies and made fair work impossible. Yet still they smile. When you let us plant a coffee cutting of a plant, I smile. When you talk about our going away party and the dancing and local boys, I smile. In the small concrete room, my host mom pours me another cup of coffee, another scoop of rice, and tells me how happy I look. I cry for the kindness they have shown me, knowing that no one showed them any when they fought to keep their community safe.